We're gonna play that game, huh?
somebody else said the same thing, but the way that I kind of envision is that it's God's timing.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
we met each other like at the
It was a
literally at the
Kairos
right
moment,
time.
you know?
You know what Kairos is? Yeah, Kairos
Yeah,
moment.
it was a Kairos.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the only reason that we went to get gelato that day was because of Isaac. he said
Oh, we'll give you the credit.
my fat cells, he always says my fat cells was working today. That's what led us to
They were
here.
a little low.
Yeah,
Getting filled up.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
need
we
some
had that
fuel.
same thing. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, so in
Well,
that,
we were even doing something that day, and we got delayed. We decided to go here, here, and here, and then we went there at that time. If we had another
Yep.
departure this way or this way, we
Yep.
wouldn't have run into you guys.
likewise,
Wow. Yeah.
because we were actually on a journey to go somewhere else.
Yeah, we're sorry we
just in the
kept you
process.
beyond when you were supposed to
Oh, no,
be
that's
leaving.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Because one thing that I've learned is that I never knew how to properly apply Matthew 6:33. Was seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness,
Righteousness.
as all these things will be added. And for the first time, I put spiritual things over physical things that moment with you guys. A lot of times we get so bombarded with work, with money, and things like that, that we miss these encounters to grow our spirit,
Right.
which that's the eternal thing. The flesh is going to fade away. You know,
Right.
food and drink, and it's going to be a time where our soul is not going to need that anymore. And so I was like, you know, the Bible said lay up treasure in heaven.
Right.
So I said, what you guys are talking about is heavenly, you know, spiritually. You know, this is something that was feeding my soul. And I was like, man, I just realized I've been focused on the flesh, the outer man for so long that when I met you guys, I said, man, I just realized how much I've been starving my spirit and my soul. And so
We're
I'm
all
like,
thirsty for that.
Right.
right,
Yeah.
you're right. And so that's why I appreciate you guys, because y'all helped me to see what's really important in life and to stop and to take time, you know, and to make sacrifice for the most important things, you know.
Right.
What if I told you guys since that encounter that literally everybody that we've met has actually opened up to us in the same way that you guys did?
That's great. That's true.
Like I was telling you yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Literally
With
yesterday
Best
was
Buy.
just like that.
Yeah.
It was absolutely just like that. And so now what I'm understanding is like God is just showing me that through vulnerability and coming out of our comfort zone, it allows us to be able to cultivate things that we could have never imagined. So I'm truly, truly, truly grateful for the
Praise God.
Well,
I mean,
we
it
were
just-
blessed too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
It's
just
a-
opened the door.
Yeah, for both of all of us, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
because we could have just passed each other by
Yeah, we
and
could
kept going
have kind
our
of joked
separate
at each
ways.
other.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, I think you opened the door.
You did. You
Because what you did was when you offered to pay for our gelato, that act we knew was kingdom. You know?
Yes, ma'am.
When you're taking care of somebody else.
well, he did offer that, but he and I made eye contact first.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
spirit to spirit opened
Yes,
up.
yes, sir. Yeah.
And then we started talking a little bit. And then internally you had that feeling of to bless us. But it didn't happen until you and I
yeah,
made that connection
yeah.
and openly, connect. You were sitting over in the corner.
Yeah.
Typically I am.
You came in.
Yeah,
but-
typically I am.
Yeah.
I'm more typically anywhere I go. I like to observe things, like everything that's around, and then the people that are there, and kind of get a feel for the atmosphere and environment. So then, after that, then I'll kind of open up. But most of the time, I'll just kind of sit back and kind of watch for a little while, because I guess that's just how my brain is wired.
I'm kind of that way too.
He is too. He's
Because I'll
kind
sit
of
in
a
the back
watch.
of the church so I can have my eyes on what's going on.
He's kind of a watchman mentality where you're
Yeah, I
watching
do.
to see
That's
what.
where I'm at. That's where I'm coming from.
Likewise, because I coming from that perspective allows me to see people kind of like at their rawest form, and it also allows me not to ever prejudge anyone based on anything, because you never know what someone is going through. Somebody could be having a bad day, but then
Yeah.
just by observing, I will know how to adjust the temperature to maybe say something kind or maybe engage in a conversation to be able to pick up their day and things of that nature. So, but if I'm not in observation mode, I would never see that. So it's just being, I call it situational awareness,
That's good.
you know? So, I mean, but it's nobody but God, because God opens my eyes. And that's like my prayer, Lord, give me eyes to see, you know, as you see, you know, people, and not judge people or just, you know, because in this world, you know, it's fueled off of skepticism. We're always skeptical of people, especially when we don't know them. Like, what's their, you know, hidden agenda or things of that nature. So I never try to do that. I try to take people at their rawest form, no matter if they're homeless, no matter if they're dealing with substance abuse or anything, because I tell people all the time, irregardless if they're homeless or dealing with any type of substance abuse or anything of that nature, that's not who they are at their core. That's just a product of their situation.
Right.
That's
Very
not
good, yeah.
So I just try to value people the way that God would
Right.
want.
But
wants
that's
us all
your
to.
gift, how you do it. Everybody has gifts that he has given us, and that's just the way you do it. And it works for you.
Yes, sir.
And some people, it may, that same, well, this is the way I do it. Well, that may not work for them.
Right.
But that's a gift that he's given you,
Right.
how to do it.
Absolutely.
Come on in. Water's fine.
My bad. I knocked your drink over.
It's all right. Didn't spill.
Yeah,
The lid on it.
I said I want to get closer.
Yeah.
I felt like I was too far away.
This is family time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is.
This is like literally like our adopted family, and we've only known you guys a few weeks, but just talking to you guys, and even when we were texting, just, you know, the conversations are warm, and I'm just, it's just honestly, I'm just blessed in this season of my life. You know, more than anything, I'm just blessed for the people that God is placing in my life.
Yeah.
You know, better than money, better than, you know, anything else. Because I think when He places the right people in your life, it adds to the peace.
Oh,
Because when you
absolutely.
because you know the right people, they can kind of stabilize. Because you may say something, hey, you know, did you think about something this way, or just even in your tone of, it's not being combative or anything like that. So it's a good feeling, you know. So yeah, I'm
And
just
that's
grateful.
good to do, because in society and the way things are in our environment that we have no control over, there's so many people that are feeling just the opposite. They're feeling anger, they're feeling depression, they're feeling just the woes of the world, if you will.
Right.
And depression, and you got to it's sort of like you get beat down.
Right.
And it's nice and your tank gets low. Even preachers, when they're pouring out all the time, but they're the ones that also need to be encouraged and lifted up also, because
Absolutely.
they're pouring out all the time. It's like the buckets, you know, you gotta, as one gets empty, you gotta fill it back out. So, you know, iron sharpens iron. We gotta be around, and, you know, and as much as we're, you know, you could have a day where I'm just feeling great and I want to share it, but at the same time, if a brother or a sister needs you, you want to be there for them.
That's real. That is so true. So true.
How, Mr. Brent and Miss Carol, how did you guys become the person that you are
That was
today?
my question.
It's like you guys are this amazing masterpiece, you know, together but also individually. How did y'all get to this point?
I think the Lord did that.
Yeah.
I think He prepared us for, you know, every season that we've gone through and developed us. And we talk about people being sandpaper in our life, where they rub you a little bit, and they can be coarse grade or they can be fine grade. And so I think every situation you have the opportunity to overcome and to look at it from God's perspective.
Wow.
And, you know, it's like, okay, Lord, I don't see this the way you see it. I need you, you know, to help me through. Or you have to realize how dependent you really are on Him. We were very fortunate when we got blessed to get married, that we had a pastor who talked to us about having a three-legged stool. And, you know, we never realized how real that was going to be.
and how important that is.
Yeah.
And even to this day, that's what we keep.
But
We share that.
He connected us because I'd been married before. So, and I told God, I'm like, I'm not doing this married thing again.
Right, right.
I'm not good at it. I don't know how to do it. So I'm not getting married again unless you pick my husband.
Wow.
And so what happened was that he had been living in California and he felt this incredible draw to come to Texas. And we met within 2 weeks.
Wow.
And it literally could have been in an office where I was going. Well, I left 2 jobs in California. I had 2 going jobs.
And your family?
And family and friends, close friends that were crying that I'm leaving. And I just said, and I didn't know at that time the spiritual level inside what I was spiritually, but that's what it was. Now that I look back, and so I had gotten an offer through this recruiter, and so I had to meet her at office to finalize some paperwork. And she happened to be in the same office. I'm in the lobby. She walks out. I see her, and she turns around because she looked for the person waiting for her, and that person wasn't there. And I started talking to the person I was there to meet, and I said, "Who was that?" And she was gun shy. There was a lot of things where she didn't even run, and I basically said, I guess I said the right thing or whatever, or the Lord helped me say it. I'm new in town. It's not a line. I would meet me at this location. So you're for safety reasons or whatever. I don't want to apply. And then, if anything, you'll get a free Mexican dinner. We literally met. I don't know what time we met, and we left after that and went to another location, and we closed that place. We just talked for probably 6 hours straight.
Wow.
And it was just like we're talking now. It was nice. It was comfortable. There was no pressure. There was no pushing. There was no nothing. And we started dating. We started casually dating. And then we became best friends. We built a foundation of best friends first.
Wow.
But we also can't take credit for what God did because we're like-minded and we didn't do that.
Gotcha.
We have the same likes.
Yes.
So
A
lots of
high percentage of, you say opposites attract. Well, we're attracted
not.
because we are so much alike. We got the same things or whatever, and we like to do the same things.
So does that make the relationship easier sometimes, or does it create an environment to clash, or not necessarily clash, but
If your wife can pick out the gelato you want better than you
she
can,
she sure did that. She sure did that day.
you got
she
something.
sure
Hold
did.
on to it. But I see that's a blessing.
Yeah, that's powerful.
That's a blessing. I can't say that it's not, but it's a blessing.
Wow.
Because you learn to be able to trust that person with your authentic self, who you
can be
really
real.
are. You can be vulnerable all the time. And if you're crabby that day, you can say, I'm really sorry, giving you a heads up right now. I don't know what's wrong with me, but, I'm feeling it.
So I need to find somebody that's kind of like me then.
Well, not necessarily, because God
just
might have a
joking.
different plan for you,
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But I thought about something that you said, Mr. Brent, and that I want to piggyback off of, is that you had to move out of your comfort zone.
Oh, yes.
So so I have a saying that I say to people is that no one ever reaches their true greatness until they have to come out of their comfort zone. And that's a biblical thing, because you look at it like with Moses and the children of Israel, they had to come out of their comfort zone to even make it into the promised land. So I think and that is countless stories.
Yeah,
Other-
Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham had to leave his country.
Had you would have not left, you would have never met her.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's the power of coming out of what's comfortable to you, and then God had what you needed in Texas. What are the chances of that?
Well, I had, when being in California, in the the 80s, I guess I was in a relationship and engaged, and I broke that off. Okay, so then I went 10 years, and there was a group of us guys, and we called it Heartbreak Hotel. and and I was working out. I had 2 jobs, but I didn't see. It wasn't the life I wanted. I wanted a family. Now in March of '90, I'm feeling this feeling with the 2 jobs. I'm still hanging out with the same guys. We're still doing the same things. And I felt like I was in a rut, but I had this pull, and I couldn't explain it at that time. And I just, so it was so strong. I mean, you know, I'm an only child, and I got a mom crying, and I got the, you know, car and the flatbed truck with the car on it, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I still did it. And it was so powerful. And he had a plan for me.
Man.
And it was, you know, I've never been married, but then when we ran into each other, it was a kindred spirit. I mean, we were from, you know, not that we were wanting to get married the first night we met, but it was somebody I met that I could just be me.
Yeah. He who finds a wife. He who finds a wife. That's what you did.
Yeah. He found, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He orchestrated it.
But he orchestrated it, but then you had to identify that this is the thing that God has for me.
Right.
Yeah, because it was going into that office that we just mentioned. That was the first. That was the first thing on my mind. That I'm
Right.
looking for a girlfriend.
Right. Exactly.
I still had to find an apartment. I'm trying to get settled at the new job and all that kind of stuff. But timing is everything.
Man, God's timing.
God's timing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh man.
Did that answer that?
Man, you got. I'm having butterflies and everything over here because I'm just thinking about like just the power of just stepping out. You know, part of my journey is of me being here is getting out of my comfort zone.
Right.
You know, like
Us
I said,
too.
I would.
Us too. Even.
Yeah, I would have never met you guys if I would have stayed in my comfort zone. You would have never met your wife if you would have stayed in your comfort zone.
Right. Right.
You think about it. You went through a marriage, right? But then you had to come out of what was comfortable to you. Is
Right.
that okay? I don't want to get married again, and things of that nature. So, but you had to step outside of that in order to be, you know, available. Because just think about it. During that time, I'm pretty sure guys can't say, "Hey, you know, how you doing?" and things of that nature. But it was something about him that drew you to him.
Right.
To have a 6-hour conversation.
Right.
You know, so I think,
And to this day, I can honestly say we're best friends.
man, what's the secret to that success as far as like as
We're
it relates
both willing
that?
to give 110% to make the other person happy. Probably.
Wow. So you hear
And
that?
it hurts my heart if I said something, and I do say things, and I do step in it. I did it yesterday.
Man. Right.
That's okay. I'm not keeping count.
She doesn't keep.
You was in the same boat. I said something. I should have said. Look, my wife was all bad, and I've been apologizing all morning. Matter of fact, I just sent a text to her and said.
But there's a gift in we both of us are, because I've had relationships where if I did say something, they hold on to it for the whole 3 days.
Yeah.
And they use it, they pull it out of their pocket and go, well, you did this again. No, she's never done. We may discuss things.
Were you
5 minutes later.
Were you listening to my conversations, Mr. Brent?
No.
I seem to have the same problem sometimes.
But that's one of the things. Her personality, I always said when I was single, I wanted to marry my best friend. I said that it's sort of like the power of the word. If you can say it over and over and over, it edifies you or whatever. But I literally said, I couldn't tell you how many times. I always wanted to marry my best friend.
Wow. You spoke it into
And it did.
He prophesied over himself.
That did it. That was the power of that. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just feeling led to do that. And I did that.
Man, I like, even before we did this segment, I had a title that I wanted to title this segment, and I wanted to, you know, the power of words. You know, and it's kind of befitting that that's what we're talking about, how you kind of spoke those words into existence, and just it created a vision for you to lock on to, right? So once you locked on to the vision, it's like, okay, I know that it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And you believed it. I think
Right.
once you attach your faith to it, that's when God was able to open it up, release it. So
And that's true on a daily basis too. When you start your day off, you know, spend quality time or whatever with Him to prepare yourself for the day. So it's sort of like, what do you whatever you want to talk about,
Right.
or whatever, or leave yourself vulnerable or open, as you said, for looking at somebody that's in need. You know, and if he puts it on your heart to go talk to that person,
To lift them up,
to lift them up,
encourage them.
Yeah.
that's your assignment for the day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Or your willingness, or what you want to do.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna start with you, Brent, then I'll go to you, Miss Kara. What are the 3 best things about your marriage that you cherish the most?
Oh, just 3?
Yeah.
I think I know one.
One's my best friend.
Yeah.
And that's a given.
That's what I was going to say.
2, trust. And 3, unconditional love.
Ooh. Ooh. Those are, man.
Yeah, Miss Kara.
Mine are really pretty much the same.
Wow.
That trust I'll elaborate on is you know, you get to be yourself. Like, I don't pretend. If I feel something, I can talk about it in a constructive way. He does put me first.
Wow.
He makes me feel loved and special.
Wow. I
You
noticed.
do for me too, but
I noticed something that you said too is that, you know, it's this theory that people have. It's this happy wife, happy life. You didn't say that. What you said is we both create for each other, because I think in the theory of happy wife, happy life, somebody gets left out. You know, because if all your job is to do to make her happy, then
Who's
she's
making him happy? Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But like he said, it's 110 over here, 110 over here, and then we combine, and that's what creates. Because the Bible talks about us when we're married, we become one.
that's true.
So I think, man, you guys are just tearing me up today. I'm just. This is like a marriage counseling session.
But we do thank him because we see other couples, we see people around us that are going through struggles and strives and stuff, and we look at each other and go, "Oh, we're really blessed."
Man,
And we acknowledge that, and we thank him for our relationship.
yeah.
Now you talked about the 3-legged stool. Some people may not know. I know what it means, but some people may not know. Can you explain the 3-legged stool that your pastor told you about?
You want to share that, Darwin?
Well, it's basically
It's
the
very
husband and the
simple.
wife and Jesus.
Ah.
And those are the 3 pillars,
You gotta have
you
it.
know, in your relationship. Because if you have his love in your heart, it's better than human love.
Right.
And I can love Brent the way God loves me.
Wow.
Because he's there and alive in me.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit is, takes over.
You know, I shared that with my daughter, my oldest, because she's trying to get into dating. She's 15. So we was, teaching her how to, yeah. I was teaching her how to have healthy boundaries in trying to date. And so I was telling her that you will not be ready to date until you have a relationship with God first, because that's really your first love relationship should be, because once you have that right, everything else flows from that.
Right.
So she was like, I disagree, Dad. There's people that are atheists and they have good marriages, but they don't have God. And I said, let me ask you something. I said, are they faithful to each other? She said, yeah. I said, do they love each other? She said, yeah. I said, the Bible said God is love. And the Bible said God is faithful and just to do all these things. So I said, although they may not confess God, but that's still the 3rd leg, because you cannot do love unless you know the foundation. You got to use God's principle in order to sustain that marriage.
Right.
If you take away God out of it, i.e., if you take away love and replace it with hate,
Right.
if you take away faithfulness and put it with unfaithfulness, that marriage will not last. So even the atheists have to use God in their marriage.
They have to yield to those principles.
Yeah, those are the principles of God. I like, where do you think love come from? Where do you think that principle come from? All that, that we like in a marriage, that's come from God. Whether we like that or not, we still have to use him in order to have a great marriage. You're like, well, I didn't think of it like that.
There you go. Yeah.
So and that's why I tell people, like, that's what I learned, like, with you guys. Y'all gave that analogy, and I started to notice, like, the power of 3. Like the tripods that the camera sit on is 3 legs. The I got a surveying, I got robotic, it's on 3 legs. Anytime we have a bipod, but if we want to make it stronger, we add a 3rd leg to it to make sure that it won't fall to the left or to the right.
Right.
And I was like, man, it's symbolic. When after you told me, I'm like, man, it's symbolic, in marriages, because the pole won't fall to the left or to the right in your marriage. You won't go to the left or to the right.
Right.
You'll be able to stay stable and upright. And I was like, man, when y'all told me that, I said, this is the most powerful thing I ever seen. and then I started to understand about the power of 3. So, there was 3 on the cross. Jesus rose the 3rd day. And man, you see all the power in just 3. And I was reading a commentary of a scholar. He was just saying that when you see 3, it's like a divine alignment, or whatnot. It's kind of like symbolic of God.
Right.
And I was like, man. And so, like when we met you guys, we had like some other encounters, but you're kind of like the 3rd encounter that put us over the edge. Like it literally, and I was like, they talk about a 3-legged stool, but they are the 3rd encounter that really kind of exploded everything for us. And from that day forward, I never been the same. Like I literally never been the same. Like we've been on a high. We've been like really, like living the life I believe that God wants us to live. We've been enjoying people. We're talking about God with people, and the world that is on TV. We don't see that world.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know that. I know the people like you guys and Miss Amanda and all these other people that we have ran across, and we never met them before, and we just met them and feel like we've been knowing them all our lives. And I thank you guys, because you helped me to see something that when I get connected to God, God is going to attract people in our path.
Absolutely.
That's going to give us, everything that we need. And I appreciate you guys for being a tool of the Lord to even help me, restore my faith in certain areas,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's not like when like spirits meet, they're drawn to each other.
Right.
But it works the same way when somebody walks into the room and they're of a different spirit. It's like 2 opposite magnets,
Right.
Repelling each
other. And,
Right.
And that's what happened to us. The atmosphere was right when we met in Cremelosa there. And all of a sudden it just ignited, and we were just drawn to each other. All of us just.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. We all of us just came together.
Yeah.
And Meredith on the other side of the counter, she was wanting to get. Hey, I want some of that too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she does a great job of, Miss Meredith. Hello, how are you?
Yes.
I think she does a great job of just creating the right environment. It's a very wholesome, homey type of feel.
It's a welcoming
it feels like home. Because literally when you walk in, she's greeting everybody. She's interacting with the children. If they have dogs, she's interacting with the dogs. Like it's just a really phenomenal place to be a part of. I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to experience it. You know. Yeah.
now, I need some help on parenting now. You guys, now I got you guys here, but
Okay, the meter's running now. You see this gray hair? I earned it.
So how do you what are your methods for parenting, and how do you help your kids to deal with peer pressure and not be a follower but a leader in this, in the world?
First thing, I don't want to take the credit for it, but I think what we've both done, the best you do as a parent, you do the best you can.
Right.
You can read and do this and that, but you really do the best. It's just to teach by example. In our household, how our relationship is, and things like that. They see our relationship. They see how we handle things. And then if they have questions, and then we sit down and we always kept an open, straightforward, honest relationship with them too, that you can always tell us what's on your mind. We'll help you. If you come to us, we're here for you. And communication, keeping the communication going. And you know, you teach them the lessons of life of, okay, for every action there's reaction or consequences for your actions. And we weren't into corporal punishment or anything like that, but at the younger age, I can give you an example of my son that had a fire truck. And I said, and he was starting to test us, and I said, look, your favorite toy, if you do that one more time, I'm going to put it away in plain sight, and you can't have it for 1 week. And he tested me. So I put it in the kitchen, put it up on the counter where he could see it, and then you have to hold to what you say. And it sat up there for 1 week, as long as his behavior was
Right.
in order. That's just one example, but then and he has good behavior. You reward good behavior, and so he did, and I fulfilled what I said I was going to do, and at the end of the week, if his behavior was good, and he didn't do whatever he was doing, I gave him his truck back.
Yeah.
So that was.
To the viewers out there, please don't allow those jewels to hit the ground, because those were some really nice jewels that he gave.
No, what do you call it? Infinite what?
Infinite jewels. I call them infinite jewels because the jewels that you're giving, they actually extend. There's no time limit on it, so it's generational. So this is something that I can apply in my life, that my children can apply, my grandchildren. So I call them infinite jewels.
Okay,
because
that's good.
You know, because we serve a God that is infinite. You know, and so I think that learning to glean from others, because like you're giving us something as something to go by. You know, like I said, there are some things that I can incorporate into my parenting because of this conversation, and then being able to teach that by example. That's something I could pass on to my children, which will, you know, go generation after generation after generation. So
Yeah, I think our kids learn from us, and depending on how, and I'm hopefully we had
And we learn from them too.
oh yeah,
oh yeah,
by the seat of our pants sometimes.
We
Oh,
learn.
yeah.
I think the most important thing you can do for your kids is pray for them.
Yeah,
man.
that's good.
Pray
Yeah.
over them, pray for them,
And when they're not there, you pray for them.
and you pray over God to, take care of the people that shouldn't be in their lives, and, give them eyes to see and ears to hear, those
Yep.
kind of prayers.
Yep.
Hedge of protection around them,
And it goes back to what you said, the power of words. That's what I'm learning. Like, as they get older, I'm starting to pray more with them. And a lot of things I want them to become, I would say that in their prayers, because now I have that undivided attention. They can't say anything. So when we pray, they have to be quiet with the eyes closed and the head bowed. So I'm like, well, it's time to kind of put some seeds in their mind while they're, because when we're not praying, if I said the same thing, they would be interrupting me and be like, want to rebuttal that.
right?
Right.
But I was like, oh, this is some good time to, sow some seeds.
That's another infinite jewel right there.
Yeah, so I had the undivided attention.
Yeah,
So,
I gotta use that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I
one. For
would.
sure.
Yeah,
but that's what I learned with the power of words when you was speaking, is that if you do that on a daily basis, start to put in that they are good and that they are going to be holy and all those things, and you start to wash their mind with the word, as the Bible talks about how God did us, and then he presented his bride to himself after he washed it. Yeah, and so I said, you know what, I'm gonna wash my kids with a lot of good words and
encouragement.
Yes,
Build them up.
Build them up.
Oh yeah.
And so
Because it's not easy for them.
no, it's not. It's not.
And it's getting harder and harder every day.
It is.
So and we try to create I know the word comes out, home base, but all three of our kids, when we're blessed, still,
They reach out to us
reach out to us all
when
the
they're
time.
having difficulties in
They
their
do,
life.
or just to call us,
Yeah, that's
every day.
man.
And a lot of times, some days, we've spent hours on the phone with 3 kids. I go, well, we're not going to get anything done today.
Wow. But you know,
I can see why though.
but you know what? I just realized something. You guys create a space in your marriage where communication is encouraged, and you create an environment where problems can be brung into this space without being beat over the head or being real critical of. You love they bring a problem and you love them, and then kind of we'll deal with the problem, but let me love you first. And I think that you guys done
Or
that.
even what we're saying may be hard to hear,
Right,
but it's coming from love.
right.
Yeah.
From both of
Right.
us. And we say that's where our relationship is like. It's always an open, is good communication is key, is one of the top things, is the communication.
And I think that's how.
And the trust with that you can
That it's safe.
freely speak
Right.
your words safely. I had to work on that a little bit because I was raised as an only child. My parents never raised their voice, but it was all. But they get. I mean, how do I say this? It was. You're always supposed to be a good kid. You're never supposed to act out. You're always, And their relationship was that way also, but it was fake.
Yeah.
It was surface.
Surface
Yeah.
on the surface. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way of putting it.
It was
yeah.
a facade
It wasn't
kind of thing.
real. It wasn't.
It's not. Yeah.
You
Like,
couldn't go deep on it.
yeah.
Couldn't go deep. No.
Yeah. Yeah, and so now that makes it more difficult for you to just be yourself. Because I always
Well,
tell
she
people,
and I worked on that, though. I'm saying
Yeah.
that
God worked
that,
on us, yeah.
that worked on our hearts, and we did that together. Yeah.
because I always think about children. I think about my own children, and I tell people that children are just little adults, but you have to think that they just got here, so they're going to make mistakes. I mean, because they don't think exactly like you think, and then on top of that, it's just if I'm 5, I'm just kind of learning. If I'm 15, I'm just kind of learning. You have people that are 30, 40, 50 years old still making the same mistakes that they made 20, 30 years ago. So if they couldn't learn anything in that time, so how do you think somebody who's 15 could learn, just...
Well, it's like anything. I don't know if my rules of parenting are good or the right way for it worked for us or whatever. We did our best, but I don't care from day one you're teaching and you're trying to give them the right principles of life and then doing the right thing, or there's
Right.
consequences. Because if you can't handle a 5-year-old,
Man.
wait till they get to 15.
Man,
So,
But we learned from our mistakes because we made plenty of them, and we did not have perfect children. I don't
Right.
want people to feel
Nobody
like we had
did.
these
Well,
perfect
we love all
children.
3 of you, but
Yeah, our oldest daughter was a product of divorce, so there was issues there. She felt abandoned by her real father,
Right.
and she acted out, and there was definitely a battle of wills, and my fear, I tried to control things because I didn't, God hadn't, He hadn't brought me along to a place where I could come from a place of love all the time.
right.
So I would try to be controlling because I was afraid. I was afraid she was going to do things. I remember
Wow.
bringing one of her friends into our living room and saying, you might want to go down a certain path, but you're not going to take my daughter with you.
Wow.
And I'm standing, I'm drawing a line here in the sand. And unfortunately, that gal did go down a really bad path. And but she and my daughter didn't go there together.
Wow.
Wow.
You said something that was very profound, is that all fear is control. That's man, like I don't think we even look at it in that same spectrum. In life is that's all fear. It's all it is, just control.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are tearing me up today. Man.
Yeah. And I like that as a parent, sometimes we have to do the difficult things in the moment. The kid may hate us in the moment, but we have to give up that being liked right then
Right.
to be loved later. Because
Right.
I guarantee you, your daughter is probably saying now, looking at her friend like, "Man, I'm so glad mommy did that."
Well, she did tell me.
She did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
She did tell me that, because as she followed that gal who got in harm's way, unfortunately.
Right.
She was safe from that. And she knows
Yeah.
that I fought for her, that I advocated for her.
Those prayers too that you were praying for her also. Like it's just the power of prayer.
I tell everyone that God said knew exactly how many children it would take to break me. That's what I got. What kind of personalities? What?
Right. Right.
Because I had to learn how to surrender to Him and to trust that He knew better for my kids than I did.
Wow.
Man,
Wow.
you just gave me a thought that
Yep.
we're not really the owners of our kids. We're just
Stewards. Yep.
Stewards.
Yeah.
That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And I think if we look at it like that, it'll really ease a lot of the anxiety and the worry and things like that when we're able to view from that standpoint, you know. Because I have anxiety sometimes and I get upset. I get frustrated when, you know, just the thought of my kids dating, but the thought of them getting closer to 18 and leaving. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want them to go. They my babies, they my girls, and the world is getting wild and wicked, and I need to protect them. They need to be with me. And I realize it's like, no, they gonna have to leave regardless.
Yeah.
Our job as parents, I think, you know, we've talked about this too, is to prepare them to leave the nest. To
Have the
give them-
tools
yeah.
and life skills to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And we're still there for them, and we're blessed that our kids still call us if they need us. That we have, the communication is open, and
I'm sure it is not as open as, you know, we would like it to be at times. 'cause
or we
you're-
don't want to hear everything.
God knows how much we can take even now.
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh man.
But you know, like, what are some of the tools that you guys equip your kids with? Just a few tools that you know, I can add to my
I needed to.
my tool
always
bag.
always honesty was a big thing for us. Lying is a big problem.
Yes.
You know, in any situation. So we had zero tolerance for that.
Still
That-
do.
Yes, that one's hard for us to. You know, we had to learn to let go and let God love them and take them where they were going to go as they got ready to leave.
Yeah.
And they did things we did not approve of,
Right.
or we would have chosen differently for them. But we realized that God was going to work on them just like He worked on us.
Yeah.
He was going to develop them just like He developed us.
Yeah.
And that hardship wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. You got to have some hardship or life lessons, as I say. To okay, well, I learn this lesson or whatever, and then I can apply it to other things in life, you know. So
I think you try to teach them to be dependent on God,
Yeah.
that He's the source, and to see His hand at work in their lives. Because, you know, people don't always see that. You know, like our chance encounter. People might have just, they just bumped into each other. No
Right.
big deal. No, we know God's hand was on us. And He was
Absolutely.
leading us and guiding us.
Absolutely.
And you do have to bring that to the forefront with them.
Yeah.
Because they don't always see it, just like you had to talk about with your daughter the principles of God's love.
Yeah.
Because
And this is something that you guys, because I talk about people that I encounter, but my family may be like, I don't know, like this kind of seem maybe fabricated. That's too. I think we read that story in the Bible,
Right.
But now I actually have like real live video and audio of you guys, and I'm like, this who I was talking about. And so now my family,
they're real; they're not Memorex.
yeah, and man, I can't minimize or speak highly enough about that encounter. Like it just, the world would not believe this, how we met each other, how we connected with each other, and then how we, you know, are still communicating with each other even after that day.
well, this is the second time we've met.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people probably listening or seeing us would not believe that.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
In what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
I'm
2
sorry
weeks.
that we had to cancel, but something came up last week.
It's okay.
It was God.
okay.
It was
God's
It was
timing.
God's
God's
timing.
timing, yeah.
Yeah.
Because look, you were telling me about the story y'all had with your granddaughter. Mm-hmm. That sounds like fun to me.
It was, yeah.
It was ministry.
We prayed a lot for the grace to have that day. So
what happened?
We had to take care of our step granddaughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
yeah, both of
We didn't have to.
Our
We were
daughter
asked
and her
to.
husband both had to work, and because
It was fall break.
and they didn't have a baby, they didn't have a backup, or the backup didn't. I don't know how that transpired, but anyway,
Doesn't matter.
We're the backup,
Yeah. So we got the opportunity to spend the day with her.
Yeah.
and it was good.
Yeah.
Good day.
Wow.
They went out to a park. She went and had like her favorite type of burger, like you know the
I could
whole
use a burger today. You said that.
yeah. So.
Hey, look, you needed more kids? 'Cause I'll be glad y'all can take me out on, burger date.
Yeah, man.
Okay, you're on.
We can do that.
Yeah, I think, man, you guys are just a joy. Like, I think,
Well, it's a blessing for us
yeah,
too.
the lives you
It can't
impact.
go. It
though.
can't be one-sided for it to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
You know, in anything in society or in relationships where strangers meet or whatever, it both have to give or be willing to open up, or
Receptive. You
that's
got
a human being right there in front of you to talk to them
gotcha.
and to listen, to truly listen. You know, that you have you're interested in that person because they're there, and in just the moment you want to spend that, some quality time with, even if you've never met them before, like we did.
Man,
It makes life go by a lot easier than if you just stay in your own little bubble and don't approach anybody, that kind of thing. I mean, or
yeah,
or a lot of people are, in certain circumstances are afraid, and they're just living their very shallow life, and they're going from point A to point B, and maybe every time they go over here just to get something to eat or a grocery store, and they go home. They don't want to be open, and that's what they're missing.
yep, absolutely correct, absolutely.
Look, I have 2 questions, and I'll be done with my questions.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, Miss Carol, if someone was to ask you, who are you, how would you just describe yourself to them?
I was gonna ask them something like that. But
You heard?
thank
How would you go?
I was just gonna ask them, like, how were their professional careers relatable to what, like, transformed you guys? Like, did you guys work in a tough industry where it was hard to overcome, like, negative mindsets and things of that nature, or did you?
I did.
Yeah.
What was the industry? Did you?
I was in the mortgage industry. Yeah. So I worked on straight commission for
wow. That sounds very
25.
stressful.
It is very stressful.
Wow.
And then managing people, and you have people, a lot of money changes hands in the mortgage business, and people make a lot of money.
Do you have a lot of fraud come through there too?
We had some fraud because people will do anything to make money.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I witnessed fraud.
Guess what God did though? He brought a balance into your life. He knew that you were in a stressful industry, but he brought the right person just for you
Absolutely.
to help you deal with it.
He knew, yes.
Yeah.
When I had a safe haven to come
Absolutely.
home. Yeah, but no, I had,
Absolutely.
and I had, hundreds of emails and phone calls, and I was on call all the time. So I never had a time where I could shut it down.
Wow.
But I always say God gave me a mortgage ministry, so I ministered to a lot of people, while I did their mortgages. Because that's what God does, is He puts you in. Any race He puts you in is ministry.
That is, man.
And that was way before the marketplace ministry tag, was popular. But I always knew from the beginning. And He did the same thing with you from medical situations. But yours wasn't nearly as stressful
It's a different type of stress.
Yeah, it was a different kinds of stress. Mine was, your hair's on fire all the time.
Constant.
She was.
But I learned to be a warrior from that. I learned to
Yeah.
pray, and I learned to stand under oppression, and I learned to be honed and developed the way God, wanted me to. He had to purge me of some competitiveness and, my own sense of, money. I've had lots and lots of money lessons in my my career and my life, and having to do the right thing, even if it meant I was going to lose money to do it.
Right. Integrity. But
Yeah.
that goes back to your core principles, right? What you taught to your children.
Right.
Not about integrity, not lying and things of that nature.
That's right.
So, yeah, but guess what? God has blessed you
He
for
did.
honoring that.
He did. He did.
know.
Many times over.
Man.
But yeah, it was intense. That's the best
Ah,
way.
but-
That's the way I know to say it. I know how to stand in the fire. Let's
But
put
it's
it like that.
It's amazing because if I had to picture you, I would have thought you were like a school teacher or something like that.
She has been prophesied as a teacher,
Yeah.
Right.
biblically.
Yeah.
But as a teacher.
That's the kind of vibe that I get more of like a teacher.
No, when I put a check of my, and yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bible in one hand and the shofar in the other.
Yeah, if my shield of faith and the sword of the spirit, I'm like,
Yeah. Now, let me guess. Which one was the hardest on the kids? You or Mr. Brent?
me.
I can tell. Because you know how I can tell is that when you spoke to me, it's like you brung the little kid. Like I literally like, yes, ma'am. I was like, I can tell she probably was a mother that did not play. Like
You did not mess with me, yes,
Yeah,
without hearing about it. Yeah.
Don't poke the bear.
yeah. So that mortgage kind of fits you because sometimes you got to be a little stern at times. With in certain situations, so that's I can see you being a mortgage.
I was in their business,
Yeah.
You learn everything about them,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The bank account that the husband doesn't tell the wife about,
Yeah.
or the bank, the things the wife doesn't.
You were ministering all the time.
Right.
With your clients and also within the office. You was
Right.
ministering.
wow.
And then God used us to be the plumb line too.
Yeah.
It's the covenant of those that bless you, I'll bless, and those that don't bless you,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
So when are you guys going on tour to do your marriage seminar, life seminar?
Yeah.
'Cause that's-
God hasn't told us about that yet, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
Man.
maybe this is the first time.
We'll see what he does.
Maybe I'm planting the seed, Lord. You know what we all need. We need more people like them. Because it's a power in you guys exemplify unity within a collective unit in a marriage, a friendship, and it's like all encompassing. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing to see because we don't have a lot of examples like this.
We're blessed,
know?
and I'm just saying that I guess what we're doing is the right thing because it's the three-legged stool because we give him the credit,
Right.
and we're following those rules. Other people are seeing that, and I think that, and we're not even like you guys did, but we're just being us. But he gifted us. We worked on that with
Yeah.
his.
He
help.
worked on us.
He's
yeah.
worked on us. I'm still need sharpening, but I'm saying,
Likewise.
till the day he takes me.
Right.
But I'm just saying, it's nice that we're just being us together, wherever we are. I don't care if it's in the grocery store, whatever environment we're in. People see what we feel for each other and our love and our respect for each other are just us being us.
Yep.
They see that. Sometimes they don't understand it, but that's okay. But if that can, they go, oh, I want some of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Man.
they do, and sometimes they
No,
don't.
that's true too.
Sometimes it convicts them of what
That's true.
what they
But that,
should be doing.
We're
or
doing
shouldn't.
what we're doing, but it just comes. It's natural. It's not contrived. We don't think about it, and I say that no. It's just wherever we're at, we're just real, and that's
Yeah.
all.
It convicts.
We try to be transparent about
Transparent is
everything.
a great
yeah.
word. Yeah.
It convicts them because they know that that's what they really want, but they don't really know how to achieve it.
Right.
Right.
And I
And
think
they're still trying to do it themselves.
Right.
They're trying to do the things for themselves that only God can do
So
for
they
you.
have a two-legged stool.
It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
they do.
Yeah. Man, you guys are powerful.
Mr. Brent, what did you do? What was your profession?
Medical.
Medical.
Yeah.
What part of that? That's a
Well,
broad.
I don't know how to be. I started out of high school, worked in surgery in ER, and then I was doing ER trauma. Then I went into medical sales, and it was all surgical related. And then when I had the 2 jobs, it was cardiovascular. And for 4 years, I was the LA County Sheriff.
Are you serious?
Those were I was teaching doctors how to use equipment in surgery. And at the same, then the other, I worked 2 jobs, and then I was an LA County Sheriff for 4 years.
Wow.
Why would you become a sheriff?
Still, it's my personality to protect and to help people.
Yeah.
I got it.
And I was first responder. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things.
Wow.
You always serving, Mr.
I was just, you took the words out of my mouth. Just always serving.
But even when I worked in the hospital on our breaks, I guess I was ministering back then. I'd rather go and talk to the older people, and their life. People like to tell me their life stories. I run into people all the time, and they tell me their life story.
Mr. Brent, believe it or not, like, if this was just a different setting where we had like a lot of different people, I would just be naturally drawn to the elderly and the seniors. Like, it's just, and it's something I noticed maybe about 10 years ago. Well, I actually worked with seniors prior to coming here for about probably a total of 10 years. And like just the natural, like you said, just being able to sit there and listen to them and understand that they have so much wisdom.
They do.
So much wisdom. I mean, the delivery is not always the best, but they have so much wisdom.
And you know what's sad? What's kind of saddens me now is that we have thrown away the older people. And it saddens me that when I visit certain elderly people, their children don't come see them, their grandkids. And I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandmother was the one that kind of raised me and instilled a lot of the love and the happiness and the kindness that you guys see. It's really from her. But I only have like a portion of it. So I'm kind of diluted. But she was like very potent. Like when she come into the room, she can touch your heart, and she can just bring out the best in you. And she'll make you forget that you had any flaws.
That's great.
And that's the power that she possessed. And so she passed away when I was like 12 or 13. All my grandparents died before I was 16. So I lost all my grandparents on both sides before I was 16 years old. And I'm like, man, I love being around my grandparents. I was on my granddaddy's leg. I would be underneath them. I used to want to sleep in the same bed with my grandmother, snuggle up next to her. And, when I see people now don't go visit their grandparents, it angers me because I'm like, man, I wish my grandparents were here. I would love, you couldn't pry me from over their house. And my grandfather, a lot of the quotes that I have, and a lot of people say you're wise, well, that comes from him.
Right.
He would always read the Bible to us. He used to, when we come over, he used to ask me, Sonny boy, what do you know good? I'm like, I don't know granddaddy nothing. He like, no, Sonny boy, you say the Lord been good to me. that was, he would, so when he say, ask everybody how we're doing, we got to say the Lord been good to me.
That's
Wow.
great.
That's good.
And so I love being around him. Like every time we would come over there, a lot of my cousins would be outside playing. I would be back there in granddaddy room, sitting on the bed, just talking to him and just listening to him. And he would share stories with me. And I really enjoyed that, And then once they passed away, I'm like, man, I missed them. And so I'm like, man, it's so much wisdom and knowledge balled up in the older generation that we as young people are not tapping into.
Right.
Right.
And it saddens me because that's the knowledge and the wisdom that we need.
Those are some of the true riches, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like they gifted you.
Yeah, that's why I love being around you guys, because I'm in my mind I'm
I'm
like,
not your granddad.
no, but you have the wisdom. You have the
You have the
wisdom.
gray hair. And
I got
Right.
gray hair and a
Well,
beard. Okay.
No, you have the wisdom.
Call me Pop.
Absolutely.
Because how I look at you guys, I'm like, man, it's so much that they can teach me. You know,
yeah.
We
that,
we teach each other.
well, yeah, that's in a sense, but I feel like y'all get the short end of the stick. when
I mean,
you
yeah.
come-
not at all.
You
Not at all.
got, but you guys have much more experience. I guess.
Yeah.
that's
Oh
what
yeah,
it is.
we've
You've
we've-
lived a lot more life than we have. so
right. I've
that's
had a
something
lot
you
more
should-
opportunities to trust God to save me. Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
deliver me. Yes.
Absolutely. Man.
because I'm not gonna lie, Mr. Brent and Miss Carol, like there's gonna be time where a situation comes up. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna call these dudes.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey,
Hey, you got my number. Well,
yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, I know you and I've connected. I will
Yeah.
share.
yeah, I gotta get you
Yeah, we'll get
contact.
connected.
Yeah.
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 Well,
It's
you
a
know,
blessing to us to be able to share.
I'm going to submit my grandparent adoption papers this week. So, you
They're
know,
not that old to be
I
your
mentioned-
grandparents.
You're right.
They old enough to be
It's
your
more like
parents. They your
uncle,
parents.
uncle and auntie are
Yeah, there you go.
There you
I'll
go.
submit my application this week. Before 2022. So you guys will be everybody out there. You guys just have to be on the waiting list.
Disrespect your elders.
Right, exactly.
Now, my last question is this: if you were to give advice to the generation 100 to 500 years from now, what would you say to them?
That's an interesting question.
Wow.
No.
Love the Lord your love the Lord your
Okay,
God with
you
all
zo-
your heart,
you
with all
zooming
your
on
soul, with all your
Yeah.
mind, with all your strength. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. If you walk in His ways, then you're gonna have everything you need and more.
The principles are the same,
Yeah.
whether they were 200 years ago, today, or tomorrow.
Yeah.
The principles are still there.
Hey, you're the first guest that I fully agree with your response.
And we passed the test.
Well, no, I was
I don't know. Is there more
interested-
questions?
I mean, it doesn't get, if you make Him the center of your life, it doesn't get any better than that.
I just love how all of your answers have been connected to God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every answer that you've answered, you've continually said that God is the source. God is the reason. God, and just giving examples as how it, relates to that and how it has worked. Like you said, even your story and your story. Man, but I think that's the what our show is really truly about, is just having people to understand that you can't do anything without God.
So true.
We would not have.
Well,
we
you
wouldn't
can
be
do it,
here.
but it's going to be a lot harder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of
And you may
options.
not reach those goals.
Right. We wouldn't be here without God. And His timing and orchestrating us to be at the same place and space at the same time. Because I think we were actually headed to a job.
Yeah,
Several jobs.
surveying or something.
Yeah, last time. Yeah, we didn't get no work done today.
Sure did. Sure did.
Somebody, I think I got in
You
trouble
did,
because
but-
somebody was late.
yeah.
You did do work, but it was just a different work than you
Yeah.
were expecting.
Yes. But like you guys helped me. I think I'm gonna kind of retire from surveying and kind of spend more time with doing what God has me to do, and that's to connect. Someone when I was like 18 years old. Matter of fact, it was a couple just like you guys. I went to a church in Nashville, and they said you are a Barnabas. You like the son of encouragement. And I never knew what that meant.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And they
I
said,
witnessed with that.
yeah, and
Supremely happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise.
and so now I believe that my purpose and being able to do these shows is to really be the son of encouragement, just encourage people.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm think I'm walking more into God's purpose, just encouraging people, whatever way I can do. I'm just gonna encourage, And so, and I appreciate you guys for helping me. Like,
Yeah.
you literally helped me to see, cause he'll tell you, like, I literally work a lot. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like I'm talking about to like 18, 20 hours in a day, go to 2:00 in the morning, get right back up at 5. And I love the work. I just love it. And it's like therapeutic to me. But now I'm starting to see that surveying is my job, but
It's not your call.
yeah, it's not my.
It's not your calling.
Yeah.
This is my calling. Interacting with people
Yep.
is my calling. I love talking to people, but when I'm surveying, I'm by myself. I don't get a chance to interact with people. So that's
You know, you can talk to the most important
Yeah.
You can pray at the
most
time.
important person at the time.
yeah.
Right.
While you're by yourself.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know, I think that God used surveying to prepare me because I got away from people, and I was able to hear His voice a little bit better. But now God's like, you're ready to.
He was preparing you.
Yes, yes,
You've been in preparation mode.
yeah, yeah. And now
too.
I was afraid.
But I mean,
Well, yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
Both of
you're
you.
connected for a reason. God's doing things with you together.
Didn't you pull
Absolutely.
him from?
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I worked a job, and on that job, I was not happy because there was no interaction with people. But every job where I worked, where there's interaction with people, I've actually thoroughly enjoyed. I've actually took less money for those types of jobs because like you said, I sensed that was a part of my calling, but like it wasn't unlocked until I got here. And then once we connected and started connecting with people, that's when it just really exploded. Like, it's kind of like he knew it, I knew it, but God already knew it, but then he just paired us together. So, like, literally every time we encounter somebody, it's an explosive situation we can't even control. Like, yesterday at the Best Buy, we start out with one conversation, come to find out that the lady was from Mississippi. So we had that connection and we were talking. So then I kind of veered off and went somewhere else for a while. And we almost got her in trouble because we started talking. I think we talked to her about a good 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
They
then-
start calling to work. Start calling.
On the
They
phone.
call her cell phone.
She was like, "Is this somebody from work calling me?" Yeah, I'm sorry. I said, "We're sorry." But then I left there and I was walking around the store, walking around. Then I was walking to this one section and then this other young lady approached me. She said, "Oh, do you need some help?" I was like, "Not really, but I just happened to just walk where I was." And then we got into a conversation. So as I was talking to her, it was a customer who came by and she was looking at one of the computers, and then she happened to just hear our conversation, and then she was pulled into the conversation. And then by that time, he showed up, and then now we all had a conversation. That conversation lasted at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah.
That's really cool because people need that. We all
Yeah.
need a drink of water from Him. And when we, fellowship together like that, He's there in the midst of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you've tasted Him, you're ruined forever.
Yeah.
Once you have a taste of God and,
You want more.
yeah, you're just ruined
yeah.
forever.
Miss Kara, this is gonna scare you. This morning on our way here, he talked about a scripture. He said, "Man, I was just thinking about this scripture where God said, you drink of Him, you'll never thirst again." And look, and you just like he literally right before we was on the way here, he brought that scripture, and lo and behold, Miss Kara is talking about the same scripture.
I mean, like literally, because I don't even know why God gave it to me, and I was just thinking about it, like, man, like literally, I'm like, bam, it hit me, like you'll never thirst again, man. And it's amazing that you said it, but this is a divine time.
Right?
Yeah. And also what you're hearing. You're hearing. So you need to thank him for
Amen.
Hearing.
You've been asking for ears.
ears to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now you're hearing.
Absolutely.
And you got confirmation.
That's it. That's sometimes what we
I
do.
told
is
you guys,
confirmation.
you guys are kind of messing me up today. I don't even know what to do with myself after today because it's just a culmination of things. Like how it started out
Right.
and where it is now, and then how God is just aligning everything, and that's just that's why I'm just so grateful to know that God, will put you on the right path, and he'll along the path he'll set people there for
Right.
you to connect with.
Right.
So you don't have to go out and make a name for yourself or doing it. God will send the right people into your life.
Yeah, I think if you go out try to make a name for yourself, you're actually going to get yourself in trouble because what does God do? He gives grace to the humble, but he opposes the proud. You know, he
Man.
does. So, self-sufficiency, not so much.
And it's good because like that's always something I kind of steered away from. I don't like being at the forefront because even like this initially, this was uncomfortable. Being on camera, actually having to talk and do all of this, but
Right.
then I had to come out of my comfort zone. And now that I've come out of my comfort zone, this has become easier, and it's allowed us to have, these amazing conversations like every day. I don't care where we go. We can go if we went into a store anywhere right now. We would run into somebody
Yeah.
and be there for like an hour
Yeah.
talking to people about God and just a whole lot of different things.
But like the lady said, she said, y'all are power together, powerful together.
Right.
So are you two. You guys are.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what she,
Yeah, that's it.
Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think about unity. How powerful unity truly is.
Yeah. But I want to thank you guys too because I had a fear of doing what God called me to do and not being able to,
Live up to it.
yeah, or failing
Likewise.
at it, and also if I do what God called me to do, I can't. I'm gonna have to have a level of faith, but I do have faith, but not the faith that I need.
Come on, man.
And so like God, I'm at this crossroad where I either got to make a choice for my livelihood, which is surveying, that been paying the bills all this time.
and you have a family, so it's not like it's just
Right.
You have
you.
responsibility.
Right. So it's scary, but my heart and my spirit is like, do this. But I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna make money for this. It's like but the interaction with you guys, I didn't do any work that day, didn't get paid that day, but I was like, but I still got taken care of. I still had food. I still and I after that, I actually made more money, by not doing the surveying work, but by doing work in the kingdom of God
Right.
than I did if I had to work that day. And I said, this is like,
You need kingdom cash flow and time to minister. That's the prayer. That's what you ask God for. Kingdom cash flow
okay.
and the time to minister.
Can you say that into the camera?
Yes, kingdom cash flow and the time to minister. That's the prayer.
Kingdom cash flow and the time to minister. That's still God's timing.
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Man.
You're going to have to break it down for me. Like, explain it a little bit. Give me a little bit.
Well, that's, you follow God's rules where money is concerned. You're a steward of, it's his money. And he tells you what to do with it and how to do it. But you've already tasted that because you know that you give away and God replaces above and beyond what you had. So, but, you ask him to lead you and guide you every single day as to what you're supposed to do, whether it's surveying or ministry. And then you ask him for wisdom on how to transition. You just, what does it say? If you ask, you receive.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
And so you just have to ask God how to do it. Because he has all the wisdom you'll ever need
Right.
in ingenuity,
Right.
for invention and recreation and all of those things.
Yeah.
He can do what you can't do.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yes.
and that's what you want is kingdom cash flow and the time to minister.
Kingdom cash flow. And the
Exactly.
time to
So God brings money in that you have no idea how it got there.
And then he has an unlimited.
Or he will multiply, like your survey job, where you'll work less but make more.
Wow. Yeah.
You know
So
that.
you don't have to work so hard at it.
Yeah.
You know, that's Matthew 11:28.
You know that actually
all that
happened.
labor
Yeah.
and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest.
Yes, well.
You know, take my yoke upon you. Learn from me.
Wow.
So that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
But
That-
I'm going
that-
to
that
tell you,
actually
your
happened.
flesh will die in the process. Okay, you will find the cross.
Yeah. Wow.
So where do you guys attend? What congregation do you guys attend? What church?
Oh, what church? We have been home churching and then listening to people online.
Gotcha.
And God has blessed us with some amazing teachers and connected us with some amazing people. But He's pretty much kept us hidden. So we, you know.
Hey, I'm lucky that we found you.
Yeah. Right. Man.
It was
We'll
a
see.
divine
Maybe this.
appointment.
We'll see. Maybe this is
Gives it meaning.
a time and season for us where He wants us to be out more. Which I'm with you is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough, but I think it's like the thing that God is kind of reverberating in my spirit is the impact over comfort. You know, if it's truly about the impact, then it's gonna be it can be uncomfortable, but it could stretch. It could go a lot further.
Yeah.
You know, so I
Right.
think just getting outside of myself, because you know, I think comfort zone also can be a cousin to like pride and just
Absolutely.
your ego.
It's
Like,
a control thing.
this is just what I want to do,
Yeah, it's a control thing.
Yeah.
I want to keep my life safe so that I don't, you know.
which we just established that's just fear, fear and control. Or,
Where does fear come from?
yeah, pride, or
Yeah,
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 yeah.
can.
Man, look, we're not gonna keep you guys too long, but I want to tell you guys that anytime y'all want to have a message to give, you always will have a platform to do it on.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We would love to, even if you want to develop your own show, we will even help. Everything will be lent to you at no cost of you guys.
Oh, that's
so
very
if
sweet.
you want to come in and shoot your own video and you need help, put it on your own channel. We'll do everything. That's my editor, and so he's already been paid on the salary, so he can edit it whatever you need. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much are you going to edit today?
Because I would love to get you guys back on here,
Yeah.
and then have your children speak to just the dynamic of how they grew up and the influence that you guys had on their lives, and just kind of, you know, being able to show people that there are positive examples. There are people that have actually did it successfully, and you know, giving people something to draw from, because a lot of times, a lot of things we have to draw from can be negative a lot of times, and then not a lot of, and we don't really highlight the positive examples, especially if you look at as it relates to media. The media will literally show all this negative stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
and then if it's something positive, it's like a 10-second segment on it. So I think, like I said, you guys have something that's amazing and powerful, but I would love to hear it from the perspective of like your family and friends and people of that nature that know you to even speak. Kind of like what they say, give you your flowers while you're here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, you guys are just messing me up today. I can't get it out of my head, but man, I'm very grateful that God has allowed our paths to cross, and I really appreciate you guys for coming on the show, and
Thanks for having
just
us.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Are you guys on any social media like Facebook, Instagram, or anything like that?
I would say I have a Facebook
And I
account,
do have an account.
but I don't ever post anything on
Okay.
it.
That's like me.
Yeah.
Just like me too.
But no, other media, no, we don't have
No,
anything
we
like
don't.
that. Like I said, we've been pretty low-key.
Hidden.
Hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're stealth.
Yeah.
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 I
Well,
call.
we come out or when he allows it,
Yeah,
like our
he-
appointments when we did, and like you know when we got together the first time, and like today.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's, but we have not taken. He hasn't asked us
Right.
to take it to the next level or another level.
Operating
This time.
in obscurity. That's my word.
You know,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
You
guys
can
are
get a
blessed.
lot done that way.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Well, we thank you guys for
Well, thanks for having
being
me.
on the
Yeah.
show. We're gonna,
Yeah, and that is the thought for today.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.